All right, let's get started. For today's class, we'll be starting in a seated position. So come down to your knees with your glutes resting on your heels, hands on your thighs. Let your shoulders drop down and back. If it's not comfortable for you to sit this way, take a block or a rolled up blanket and just tuck it underneath your glutes to give yourself a little extra support. Either way, start to come into your breath, breathing deeply into your lower abdomen. Bring your arms up to cactus arms. So elbows are at a 90-degree angle, fingers are spread really wide. And we'll start breathing a little deeper here. So on your next exhale, pull your elbows towards each other, touch your palms, pull your belly in, drop your chin down. As you inhale, open your arms up, spread your elbows wide, gaze up at the sky. Exhale, pull everything in. Elbows touch, palms touch, chin drops down. Inhale, open everything up, gazing up at the sky. Squeeze your shoulder blades in the back. And exhale, pull your elbows and palms together. Cave your belly in. Inhale, open up, really broad across your chest. Exhale, fold in. Cave your belly in as far as it can go. And one more time, biggest breath yet. Inhale, gaze up. And exhale, pull everything in, palms touch. Beautiful. Come onto your hands and knees and take a moment to make sure that your hips are right over your knees. Keeping your hips right over your knees, walk your hands out. We'll come into extended puppy. So walk your hands all the way out to the top of your mat, spread your fingers wide, and drop your forehead down to touch your mat. And take a breath here to stretch your spine, stretch through your side ribs. Good. And then come back up to hands and knees. Move your hands just a little further away from you. Curl your toes under, and we'll come up into downward facing dog. So this is an inverted V position. Take a moment and feel free to pedal your knees out, lowering one heel down to the mat and then the other. Making sure your fingers are spread really wide and all your knuckles and fingertips are contacting the mat. Lift your hips up to the sky and press into your hands. If it feels good, bend your knees really deeply and press into your hands a little more to really stretch through your armpits, through your side ribs, lengthening your spine out. And then slowly start to straighten your legs and let your heels drop down in the direction of your mat. It does not matter if they touch. Good. And then look between your hands and step your right foot between your hands, coming into a low lunge. Drop your back knee down, uncurl your toes, and lift your arms up to the sky. This is Crescent Lunge. So you're reaching up and just slightly back, letting your hips sink down towards the mat. As you exhale, bring your hands back down to frame your feet. Keep your left hand down, lift your right hand up to the sky, twisting to the right and stretching up. Exhale your right hand back down. Shift your hips back and straighten your front leg as you pull your toes towards your forehead and drop your head down. This is a great hamstring stretch. Sink into this. As you inhale, shift forward back into a lunge. This time, bring your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and pull your shoulders back. Squeeze your shoulder blades behind you as you gaze slightly up and open across your collarbones. Great. And then sweep your arms back up one more time for Crescent Lunge. You're reaching your hands up and letting your hips sink down at the same time. Drop both hands back down to frame your foot. Step your right foot back, lift your hips to downward facing dog. Take a breath. And look between your hands and step your left foot forward. Same thing on the left side. Drop your back knee down, uncurl your toes, and sweep your hands up. Inhale. Let your hips drop down towards the mat. Good. Drop your hands back down to frame your foot. Right hand stays down. Lift your left hand up to the sky. Twist to the left. Really stretching through that left armpit. Bring your left hand back down to the mat. Shift your hips back, straighten your front leg. And as you drop your head, pull your toes towards your forehead. Drop your head down. Inhale, shift back into your lunge. And this time, bring your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and use your hands to pull your shoulders back, squeeze your shoulder blades behind your back, and gaze just slightly up as you feel that squeeze. Good, and on your next inhale, sweep your hands back up, reaching for the sky in Crescent Lunge, reaching slightly back, and let your hips melt just a little bit deeper into this. Good, drop your hands back down to frame your foot. Step your left foot back to downward facing dog. Lift your hips high. Look again between your hands and then slowly walk your feet up towards your hands. Keeping your head down, we'll come into Ragball. So keep your feet hip distance apart. Grasp opposite elbows, bend your knees deeply, and let your head drop down towards the floor. You're letting everything feel really loose here. Let your torso actually touch your thighs here. So bend your knees deeply. You can even sway from side to side, shake your head a little bit. And if you'd like to feel a little bit more of a hamstring stretch, you can start to straighten your legs until you feel a good stretch for you. Keeping your upper body relaxed. And slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, coming up to standing with your head coming up last. Bring your feet together, hands at your sides, drop your shoulders back and down in mountain pose. Let's take an inhale and sweep your arms out to the sides, all the way up overhead, palms touch, gaze is up. Exhale, fold forward, all the way down, drop your head down to a forward fold. Bend your right knee, keep your left leg straight, right fingertips on the floor in front of you, and lift your left hand up to the sky, twisting and stretching that left hamstring. You can even take your right hand to the outside of your left calf if that feels good. To twist around a little bit more. Take a breath here, deepen the stretch, and then exhale, both hands down, fingertips to the floor in front of you. Bend your left knee, right leg is straight, left fingertips down. Lift your right hand up to the sky as you twist to the right, opening up. Should be getting a really good stretch in that right hamstring. And again, you can grasp the outside of your right leg if you like, or just keep your fingertips on the floor in front of you. Good, and then exhale, both hands back down to the mat. And relax into a forward fold for a moment. Inhale, sweep your hands back up to the sky, palms touch. Exhale, fold all the way down, plant your hands on the mat, bend your knees, and step your feet back to downward facing dog. Lift your hips high, press your hands into the mat. Take a breath here. And now we're going to move into some deeper stretching with some longer holds. So look again between your hands, move your right hand a little closer to your left, and then step your right foot outside your right hand, coming into lizard. Let your back knee drop down. Before you get into this, make sure you have your block or blanket close by. You might want to use that. And then there's 3 options here for lizard pose. You can keep your arms straight with your palms pressed into your mat. You can use a block and drop down to your forearms on the block, or you can drop your forearms all the way down to the mat. So whichever of those variations works for you. I'll start timing now. We're going to stay here for a minute. These deeper, longer stretches are where you really get gains in your flexibility and mobility. We usually only hold stretches for 5 or 10 seconds, and that just doesn't accomplish very much for you. So commit to staying in this and let the stretch do its work. And to do that, I want you to start to lengthen your exhales as you breathe. So breathing in through your nose for 4. And then open your mouth and exhale for 8. Good, keep breathing in that pattern. pushing all the air out of your lungs with every exhale, pausing and then taking your next breath through your nose. And then slowly and gently move your block away if you were using it. Plant your hands and step back to downward dog. We'll reset here. Lift your hips high, press into your palms. And then look forward and move your left hand closer to your right. Step your left foot outside your left hand. Drop your back knee down, uncurl your toes, and come into your lizard. Drop your head down, close your eyes. I'll start timing now. We're here for a minute. So just really sink into this. As you breathe, take a minute to check for any tension that you're holding in your shoulders, in your jaw, and your forehead. Try to release all the muscles throughout your hips and your hamstrings. Notice where you're feeling this right now. And come back to your breath. Breathing in through your nose for 4 and out through your mouth for 8. Full, complete exhales. And slowly come out of this, move your block to the side, plant your hands in front of you and step your left foot back, lift your hips high, pressing your palms into the mat. Take a breath. And we'll move into pigeon. So take your right knee behind your right wrist, drop your back knee down, uncurl your toes, and let your hips sink down. Now, if you have space underneath your right hip, you want to take a folded blanket or towel and tuck it under there, or even a block if there's a lot of space. You really want to feel supported here. And once you have a good position for your hips and you feel stable, walk your hands out in front of you. You can come down to your forearms or drop your head all the way down to the mat if that feels good to you. We're holding this for a minute. Again, close your eyes, come back to that same breathing pattern. Let's take a breath together. So on your next inhale, we'll start here, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Keep going with that breathing. Checking in, noticing where you're feeling the stretch, where you're feeling tension, where you can find a little more release. And then coming back up, plant your hands in front of you, step back to downward dog, lift your hips high, reset. And coming into pigeon on the left, take your left knee behind your left wrist, drop your back knee down, walk your toes back to bring your hips down to the mat. And again, you want to tuck something under that left hip if there's space between your hip and the mat. And then drop down to whatever position is comfortable for you. We'll start our minute now. Drop your head, close your eyes, find your breath. So important to take this time to really allow the release of these deep stretches. You only get the benefits when you stay in them for at least 30 seconds, ideally a minute or more. Breathing in for 4. Breathing out for 8. Good, and slowly bring yourself back up. And we're just gonna shift on to your left hip and swing your right foot around, coming into a seated position. We're gonna move into butterfly. So your knees are opened out, your soles are touching. Now this one can be tricky for a lot of people if you have tight hips or hamstrings. It can help to take a block and sit on a block, and that lifts your hips up a little bit higher. It also can help to bring your feet really far away from your pelvis. So you can have a nice long distance there. It really doesn't matter how far out they are. So those two things, lifting your hips and then bringing your feet out further in front of you, can help if you have really tight hips. Either way, interlace your fingers underneath your feet and pull yourself down towards your feet as far as you can go. Pull for a moment and then release your hands and just let your hands be relaxed in front of you, wherever they can be most relaxed, where you're not going to pull and force this stretch. And I am starting a minute. You can take your block and put it on the floor or on your toes and rest your forehead on your block. That can feel really good. Coming back to your breath. In through your nose for 4. Out through your mouth for 8. Just release here. Good, and slowly come out of this, moving your block to the side if you are using one. And then come into a seated position with your feet out in front of you, legs are long, toes are flexed towards you. Inhale your hands up to the sky, lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, fold forward, reaching for your feet or your ankles or your shins, and pull yourself down towards your legs. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's totally fine. This isn't about trying to look a certain way or look like anyone else. This is just about feeling a stretch and doing what gives you a good release in your muscles. Good, and come back up to seated. And then we'll come all the way down to the mat. Pull your knees into your chest. Give your knees a squeeze. And then let them open out to the sides. Reach your hands between your knees. Grasp the outer edge of your feet. And with your soles facing up towards the sky, let your knees drop down on either side of you for happy baby. You can feel free to rock from side to side, or you can just stay here and let your knees sink down. Breathing really deeply all the way into your lower abdomen. Good. Pull your knees into your chest one more time. And then stretch your left leg long, keeping your right knee bent. Let your right knee cross over your body to the left. Stretch your right arm out to the side. And if it's comfortable for your neck, you can gaze at that right hand for a full body twist here. Left leg is long and straight. Pull both knees back into your chest. Right leg goes straight. Your left knee comes across your body all the way over to the right. Stretch your left arm out to the left. Head rolls over to the left if it's comfortable. Right leg is long and straight. Good. Pull both knees back into your chest one last time. Feel free to rock back and forth. Take some circular motions with your lower back. And then let your legs drop down. Feet as wide as your mat. We'll come into our final relaxation. So your arms can be as wide as you like, palms facing up. Close your eyes. And this is your time to really let everything relax and melt into your mat. So you can let go of your breathing. Just breathe naturally, no need to control it. Let your entire body release. And I'll stop talking so you can stay in this as long as you like. Just take this time to absorb all the benefits of your practice. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.